Hey guys, welcome to this week's riveting art video. We're just jumping right on in this week. I'm going to be decorating the cover of my sketchbook. So the first thing I needed to do, because my sketchbook is this kind of like black fabric-y material, is I needed to use some gesso to kind of prep my canvas area so that it would be easier to put paint on. As you can see, the fabric just kind of sucked up a lot of my original couple layers of gesso, and obviously I don't want to do that. I don't want that to happen when I'm actually working on the illustration I plan on doing in the cover. I ended up doing about 4 coats. I might have done a 5th coat, but yeah. This is how it ended up turning out when all my coats were done and dry. Here's some satisfying tape peeling and whatnot. It's always my favorite part. If you really want to be super duper like perfectionist about doing gessoing and stuff, you would want to sand each layer in between. I didn't really care, so I don't mind having a little bit of texture on my canvas, so I didn't bother. And all the lines ended up being really sharp except that bottom right corner, but it's so minuscule it didn't really bother me. Now, to get started on the actual illustration, I'm just using these craft paints. Like they're just what I have around. They work just fine. The only thing that I would say about like the apple barrel paints as opposed to just like an acrylic like this Master Touch or this Winsor Newton is that the apple barrel paints are pretty thin. They're kind of runny, thin body as opposed to your regular artist acrylic paint. So you'll see here, just like in my palette, this kind of thinner apple barrel on the left and then the artist paint on the right, how it kind of holds its shape. There are pros and cons to this, but the only thing is with the apple barrel is sometimes you do have to do double coats on it. I end up mixing it all together, so we end up somewhere kind of in a happy medium, I guess. With the green, however, I only used apple barrel, so I definitely had to do multiple coats. You'll see that again here soon. And then I wanted a darker tone of red without just putting black in it, so I mixed a little bit of blue in with the reds, and it gave me this kind of like deep red violet color, and I was really happy with that. And then, just like without a sketch or anything, I just dove right the heck into this drawing, illustration and painting. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I definitely had a love-hate relationship with the painting part of this. I haven't done an acrylic painting or anything of that nature in a while. So here you can see the green, it's like super transparent and you can see all these like swatch or the brush strokes and stuff in it. So I definitely ended up having to go in and do a second coat. You'll see that a bit later. That and adding some of my Winsor Newton. The Winsor Newton white paint is the highest quality paint that acrylic paint that I own. So by adding a smidge of that to it, it kind of gave it a little bit more opacity, gave it a little bit more opacity and helped out a bit. But I do still go in and do a second coat just because I wanted more texture in general. Oh, and then these little green splotches, and they're supposed to be like little succulents, so I wanted to kind of give them the pointy edges just to kind of help myself out in the future. So here you can see I'm going in and adding a little bit more texture to the center rows. I wanted these kind of big squared areas in it just to just give it a little bit more dimension, a little bit more like poppy highlights and poppy shadows and stuff. I didn't want it all to be too blended. I wasn't really trying to go for like hyper-realism or anything here. Yep. And then here you can see I'm going in, doing kind of the same thing here with the succulents, but instead of doing the kind of squared off chunks, it's just kind of brush stroke globs. And then here you can see me doing the little like leaf petals off the side. I kind of wish they had been a different shade of green from the succulents, but at the end of the day, it's okay. And then here I'm just lining off with a pencil where I want to do a metallic gold background detail. Just lining it up. And so I'm using my Posca pen, my metallic gold Posca pen. Yep, it had a little hairy thing on the end, so I had to pick that off. I really love the metallic Posca pens. I think they're probably my favorite metallic pens I've used thus far, especially for filling in large areas of an artwork. The Sharpie ones, in my opinion, run out of ink so fast that like it's not even worth the money. So far, I've used this Posca one a lot, and so far it's holding up. I've had them for probably about a year now, and they're still like going strong. And then I went in with my white Posca pen and did these little like rose petal things. I just kind of haphazardly throw them in there, and usually it turns out okay. This is a technique I've been using on my art a lot with these little flowers. I've always wanted to draw a ton of flowers and things in my artwork, but kind of always felt a little, I don't want to use the word lazy, but I don't know, I just didn't have the patience to do an actual detailed flower. So ever since I started drawing flowers like this, I'm able to get a kind of like faux detailed flower without all of the effort of an actually detailed flower. And it's kind of changed the game in my art, and it's a really satisfying process making them. So yeah, I've kind of talked about how to make them in past videos, so I'm not going to go too in detail about my process. And then I painted over a boo-boo here on this succulent, covered up just fine. I ended up fixing a different spot later, but it's not that big of a deal. And then I kind of like, this is technically as far as my thumbnail went. I got to that point, and then I was like, this is kind of boring, and I kind of want to do some more. So I added in some embellishments. I did red along the sides here, and then did some little white kind of sparkly area things on here. I don't know. And then threw in some bright red hatching just because I felt like it needed a little bit more of a pop on this rose. And then I did gold line around the bottom part of the frame. Added in my signature in red, and it's basically done technically, but there's still more to do. So next I need to add in a clear top coat, and I didn't want to get this clear top coat into the black fabric area. I didn't want to mess up with that texture, so I taped it out a second time and went ahead. Definitely go outside because this stuff, it's like spray paint. You will choke if you try and spray it inside. I definitely have lived on the wild side in the past and have done it inside. Don't actually recommend doing that. Do your lungs a favor and go outside. And then here's how it looked after the first coat. As you can see, some areas are kind of matte, some areas were a little glossy, so I did end up doing a second coat with the gloss top coat, and you can see it here after I'm done peeling this tape back. I just like showing tape peeling. But here you can see that it's pretty shiny everywhere and nice and even on terms of the gloss, and it's also nice and protected. And because Sketchbook goes with me everywhere, the last thing I want is for the paint to be chipping off and stuff after a month of use. Alright guys, so my sketchbook is done. I probably already mentioned this, but I really love how the rose turned out, but I wish the tones of the gold and the succulents and leaves had been, I wish there was a little bit more contrast there. But overall, it could definitely be worse. I think it's good enough. And then the little ribbon is red, so it kind of like matches. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how the cover turned out. I kind of want to show you a little bit about this sketchbook since we're here. Hopefully, you guys stayed around long enough to get to this part of the video. Probably should have done this at the beginning and then started the cover transformation. But anyway, so yeah, this sketchbook it's bound like kind of on the skinny side instead of the tall side. So yeah, and then it sits flat open, which is really something I was looking for. I thought about getting the ELO sketchbook. It's just a little out of my price range right now. It's, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, it's like one of the most popular sketchbooks like on the internet right now. Like people are obsessed with it. But it's like a $25 sketchbook plus shipping, and I just can't do that right now. So I think my next sketchbook I'll probably get an ELO. Yeah, I really like that it sits flat. Here's I've already put my February calendar in here, but I really like that I could draw this way, or I can do one long thing this way. I think for the most part I've been using it lengthwise like this. And then you can see I did some Valentine's Day sketches. But yeah, and like see, it's so flat right here that I can, like, I feel like I can get so much use out of this. My last sketchbook, like if you were to set these right next to each other, they're about the same size, like the page dimension is the same, but because of the way this one lays flat, I feel like I have so much more like usable area. And then I swatched some washi tape. I got some new washi tape when I traveled to Dallas recently. And then my thumbnail for my new cover, and then some other things I was thinking about doing. Yeah, that's basically all I have in here so far. Oh, it has a pocket in the back. I haven't had a sketchbook with a pocket in the back before, so I'm pretty excited about that. I have a huge sticker collection, so I think I'm gonna pick some stickers out that I know I'm gonna probably use and put those in there. Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, that's basically all you need to know about this sketchbook. I really enjoy it. It does have a little elastic thing that goes around. But yeah, I've been using it for about a week and a half now. I know that like 3 pages of use isn't that much for a week and a half. I've been crazy busy. I've been traveling and I'm preparing to move. So, like I said, I've just been crazy busy, so I've barely been drawing. But the few times I have used it, I've really enjoyed it, and I'm excited to use it some more. Once I finish it and do a finished sketchbook tour in the future, I'll be sure to let you know if there's any cons that come up. But right now, all pros. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate you tuning in, watching me decorate my sketchbook. Hopefully you subscribe because I've got a ton of fun videos planned for March. If you're a huge Animal Crossing fan like me, you'll probably enjoy the videos. So please, please, please subscribe. I really appreciate it. So I'll see you next week with another riveting art video.